first responders jump into action. Rescue 911 next.
This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911. A young finger on the trigger.
You better be careful with that.
Child's play turns deadly.
Cool. Oh my god, what have I done? I never thought a gun could do that much damage.
Plus, a drainage pipe sucks a boy closer to death.
Kept hollering, help me, please don't let me die.
On Rescue 911.
One bad choice can bring devastating harm, but sometimes it can also bring a strength which can never be taken away. We begin on September 8th, 1994 in Lubbock, Texas. When Melissa Poole went to pick up her husband from work, she left her two older kids, Stephen and Andrew, at home, trusting they would be safe for the short time she was gone.
You go bye-bye? So go get Daddy? We need to go get Daddy. We need to hurry. Boys?
I told the boys, mind the rules. You stay here and watch TV, go play Nintendo in the bedroom. Make sure you don't answer the phone or answer the door, and I'll be back in 20 minutes. Stephen is very responsible, straight A student at school, so I didn't see any problem with leaving him with his little brother.
Andrew and me, we were real bored. So I went in the bedroom and played with my dad's camera. What are you doing? Looking for Dad's camera. Did you want to take some pictures? And 12 gauge shotgun shells. And I go, wow, that's neat. No, I didn't know those were there. Well, I know where Dad's gun is. It was new to me. I've never played with it before. And I thought it was real neat, holding the real gun. I know how to load and unload a gun from TV. Some violent stuff on TV these days. You're supposed to be playing with that. It's right here. I put a shell in, cocked it, and it flew out like it does in the movies. Cool. You better be careful with that. Andrew says, don't fiddle with the trigger, it might shoot. Cool. And I was like, no, it won't, it's on safety. Cool.
When we continue.
That's what stuck with me, to hear him say, oh my God, I didn't mean it. That's what God in the Bible, I didn't mean it.
Don't let hot, uncomfortable, suffocating masks keep you sidelined from Mission, the leader in temperature technology for enhanced performance. Machine will...
I get paid. I'm back.
Last scene on.
Accidentally went off. No one...
Please help bring Pamela home.
When 11-year-old Stephen Poole took his father's shotgun to play with, the weapon accidentally went off. No one else was home, except his 8-year-old brother Andrew. Stephen ran across the street to get his best friend, Cody Cameron. Lubbock EMS dispatcher Jenny Finley had called Stephen back.
All right, it's okay, it's all right, it's okay. All right, where are they at?
I didn't mean to swear, Mom. Okay.
That's what stuck with me through the whole call, and it still sticks with me to hear him say, "Oh my God, I didn't mean it. I swear to God on the Bible, I didn't mean it."
Stay calm and listen to me, okay? What's your name? No, he's not.
Oh my God.
What is your name? What's your name?
My name's Stephen Poole.
Calm.
When dealing with the child, you have to be more motherly. That may mean being firm. That may be speaking in a loud voice to him.
I didn't see any skin on the part where he was shot. I never thought a gun could do that much damage.
Have him sit down. Okay. Can you get a clean, dry towel?
You need to tell me to go get a clean dry towel now. I can't from the pool there. I got it.
Okay.
Go, please.
It's
Tony, he's breathing up. He's breathing back.
Stay calm, Stan. Stay calm.
My biggest worry was not being able to hear the boy that had gotten shot. I couldn't hear him screaming. In my mind at first, I thought he could possibly be dead.
I ran to get a towel, but I couldn't open a door.
How old's your brother that got shot?
He's 8.
He's 8? Okay.
I can't get a towel.
Is he talking to you? The ambulance?
He's about to die.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's not about to die, okay?
Gross.
I know.
The ambulance here now. I gotta hang up.
No, don't hang up the phone.
Gigi, I'm giving this my best friend. Okay?
Okay.
Tony's here. I gotta get a towel. I was like, oh my God, what have I done?
All right.
You got it. Because I was thinking if I hadn't got the gun out in the first place, this wouldn't have ever happened. Don't press on it. I did this. I was responsible.
The first help got to the scene within 4 minutes, including paramedic Chris Teague.
I was stunned at first. When I heard it was a shooting, I thought it was a domestic disturbance. I didn't expect to see a child laying there.
Hey, will you show me over the 12 gauge? Where is the gun, sweetie? I'll show you. Don't touch it.
Okay, the ambulance is there?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna let you off the line.
Stay with me, Bobcat. This child was very critical. He had a gunshot going across the left side of his chest, his shoulder, and across his neck.
You doing okay?
The boy had lost a lot of blood. The towel was so. This child's injuries were so horrendous that only surgery was going to save this child.
I was scared and sad. My heart was pumping fast. When the ambulance pulled away, I thought I might never see my brother again.
8-year-old Andrew Poole was taken to University Medical Center and put under the care of pediatric surgeon Jane Goldthorpe.
He was having a great deal of difficulty breathing. We were very concerned that he was going to lose his airway and possibly die within a matter of a few seconds. This was a rather startling injury. The chest wall was literally ripped open by the passage of the pellets.
They pretty well told us that he might not make it. I was in complete, total shock. I was scared he was gonna die. I was scared I was gonna lose one of my babies.
When they finally let us go into the intensive care unit to see Andrew, well, I think that's when everything hit me of what was going on, what he had been through. It's like, this is my little baby boy, you know, he's laying in this bed in bad shape. All I want to do is just trade places with him. If there's any way possible, I would.
He looks terrible. You could talk to him, but he wouldn't answer. My mom said he was doing great, but it didn't look it. She said, don't cry in front of him, it might get his hopes down. So I told him that I loved him and he was gonna be alright.
1 month has passed since the shooting. Andrew continues to heal and is expected to fully recover. His father, Danny, is grateful.
He was on the edge of death. They told us that Andrew was supposed to be in the hospital for 3 or 4 months. And he got out in 12 days. It's just amazing how he could bounce back from such a very serious injury.
If I had one thing to say to everyone who helped Andrew through this, it would be thank you, because they gave me back my son. He's alive because of them.
Steven feels sad about what happened to me, but I still forgive him because, I know it was an accident. I think it's important that kids don't play with guns. I don't even think it should be on TV anymore.
The way my dad taught me was to keep my gun unloaded and out of sight and hidden. And the shells were to be kept somewhere else. That's not good enough. You've got to have trigger locks on your guns. The ammunition has got to be locked up.
I don't think guns should be kept in a house with kids, really. We're not gonna have any. They're gone. And there never will be a gun in this house again.
When I look at Andrew and see him feel great, I'm glad he's home, but he's still a pain in the butt.
Next, it's a natural curiosity. Everybody likes to play in water, but it's too dangerous.
Do you know what kinds of harmful things are floating in the air inside your home? Bissell does. That's why they created the Bissell Air 320 dust.
Our circulates
In real time.
this small.
Max Air. Limited time only.
To order your Air 320 Max, call 1-800-580-87.
It's cleared it would be safe for her son and his friend to go out and play.
It was
This special offer is for a limited time only.
To order your Air 320 Max, call 1-800-580-8729 or visit BissellAir.com. That's 1-800-580-8729 or visit BissellAir.com.
On July 12, 1994, a violent rainstorm passed through Eunice, Louisiana. Although the rains brought some obvious problems, Colleen Guston assumed, having lived in the area most of her life, that when the skies cleared, it would be safe for her son and his friend to go out and play.
It was really some of the worst rain that we've seen here in years. The water was 3-4 feet on the highway in front of our house. It was something. The boys were pretty much confined to indoors all day. The afternoon when the rain did stop, they asked to go outside and play. I thought it was safe because the water really had receded some.
Don't be too long.
11-year-old Thomas Lemoyne had come over to the house of his best friend, Adam Guston.
Thomas, he's fun to play with, and he's funny and fun. We put our boots on, and then we went outside, and we were talking. We didn't really look at where we were going. We seen this ditch that was full of water. I jumped in it, and then it went a little over my nose. Got over my head. And we found a pipe to the other side of the ditch. And we went and walked across the pipe. It was moving fast.
This police officer, John Cormier, was on routine patrol in the area.
I was watching the water, waiting for it to recede so I can pull up my barricades on the highway. I saw two young boys playing in the water. It's a natural curiosity. Everybody likes to play in water, but it's too dangerous.
Get out of the water and go home before somebody gets hurt. I don't want to catch on here again.
The policeman told us to get away from the ditch, and we walked away.
They got 15, 20 yards from, and I went on westbound. I decided I'd get it a cup of coffee.
Thomas said to wait for me. I'm across the pipe one more time. I thought he was faking it. All you could see was his head. I just grabbed him before he went in the pipe. He was going under. I felt that I didn't want to let him go. So I just screamed help.
Johnny McGee happened to be going by on his way home.
When I passed, I seen a little kid caught my eye. And when I turned back and just glimpsed at him, all I seen was a head sticking up out the water.
Mark Edwards was running an errand across the street.
He heard kids screaming for help. The guy that was standing up on the ground was screaming, "Please, somebody come help my friend drowning."
I started trying to pull him out, and it's like he wasn't even budging. And like something had him down there and wasn't gonna turn him loose.
Off-duty police officer Ronald Papillon also happened to be across the street.
His face was just so white, and he just kept hollering, "Help me, help me, please don't let me die, please don't let me die."
I said, this ain't working, that pulling ain't working. I said, something's wrong, this guy's stuck, and he's not coming out. It's like somebody was down there pulling his legs in, I'm trying to pull him out.
The current was strong. The way it had him, he couldn't move. I was scared myself. Definitely didn't want him to drown within arm reach of him.
If we made a mistake and slipped up, he was gone. The suction and the current would have took him through the pipe. You're looking at almost a mile underneath through the pipe.
Good. I got it.
If he would have went down the pipe before he got to that big canal, he would have been dead. I was real scared.
But it seemed like the water was rising because he kept pushing his head over the water, so the water would get in his nose.
The little fella he was determined he was gonna hang on, he wasn't going down, and I was determined I was gonna get him out. And finally, it's like it was just no suction. I didn't realize how bad the suction was till after we got him out. When we pulled him out, it's like we unclogged the drain. But look, Johnny's stopping it back up, it stuck me up to it. Oh, no way.
After more than 15 minutes of fighting to keep his head above water, Thomas was safely out of the pipe. His mother, Rachel Lemoyne, rushed to the scene as soon as she heard what had happened.
Yeah, I expected the worst. I ran to the ambulance and I saw him sitting there and, wet and dirty with a oxygen mask, and I was just so relieved. So relieved.
Adam's mother, Colleen, had also been notified.
Thomas looked bad. My heart went to my feet, but everybody reassured me, that it was okay, that they were, very, very lucky.
6 months later, Thomas still remembers the day vividly.
I was saying, please help me to get out. And then he pulled me out, and I said, thank you very much, I love you.
They knew that, they had done wrong. Number one, leaving the yard where they would have been safe. And number two, not listening to the police officer.
One of the things I like about Thomas and Adam's friendship is Adam's kind of clear-headed. I think other kids might have panicked, they might have left to go get help, but Adam had the presence of mind to stay there and help. And I'll always be grateful to him for that. Adam is my hero.
I guess I can call myself a hero because I didn't let go of him until help came. But I'm not the only hero.
The gentleman that pulled Thomas out, they didn't stop to think, well, can we do this? What might happen to us? They just jumped in. I think they're just terrific. I don't feel like I've ever thanked them appropriately or can.
We're gonna feed him, we're gonna fatten him up.
I'm just doing what anybody else would have done. Hopefully, anybody else would have done.
It feels like it never happened. I feel good. I play around in the neighborhood now. I don't ride in the ditches no more. Ditches might be fun to play in, but they could be dangerous. So you need to stay away from them. It's made me a little bit smarter because dangerous things can happen when you never expect it. I think Thomas will always be my friend.
Exposure thresholds. The manufacturer Philips has urged all users of recalled machines to stop using them immediately.
Mr. Carroll, step out of the car, please.
This is 911, do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911. Keys in the ignition. A car on the loose backs into a total nightmare.
He looked like he was on deathbed.
We told we loved him.
Plus, when cops confront a dangerous suspect, a police dog risks its life.
Our boy's been shot.
On Rescue 911.
We begin in Riverdale, Georgia, on the afternoon of February 25th, 1994, where 3-year-old identical twins Michael and Andrew Payne were playing in the front yard while their father Darrell kept an eye on them.
What are y'all doing? Washing out the Jeep? Twins. They don't know what to do without each other. Michael, he's more outgoing than Andrew is. He likes to play more. But Andrew, he always follows them and tries to keep up with them. They play together real good. Sure do. I turn the ignition on. They listen to the radio. Y'all watch it. Y'all score each other, okay? They're both over there watching the Jeep at the same time.
Some more paper towels.
I walked into the house to get some more paper towels. When I heard it pop out of gear, I just wanted to make sure Michael and Andrew was okay. Michael was crying because it scared him.
Come on, let's go.
I thought Andrew was still cleaning up his Jeep. And then I looked up. He was just lying on the pavement still. He wouldn't even move.
When we continue,
I didn't think there was a chance for Andrew to even survive. I kept telling him, we need the ambulance here now. We gotta get him here. The boy needs him now. He's not gonna make it.
Why are so many people turning to Super Beats crystals? Because Super Beats crystals give you the energy and blood pressure support you want from real beats without the beat tape. Supporting like
Did a lot because he wasn't moving at all. All I saw was
Nix.com.
from her backyard across the street, Evelyn Finn had heard the crash.
I didn't even know if he was dead or alive because he wasn't moving at all. All I saw was he was on his face and the blood just running down the driveway.
Neighbor Ken Liederbach also came over to help.
When I saw her bend over, Andrew, it looked like a pile of rags to me. When I put my hand on him, on his back, and I could see blood was coming out of his ear, and I knew the left side of his face was crushed.
Clayton County Dispatcher Yvonne Lovett was handling the call.
He was really scared that he was going to die. You just try to keep comforting them, letting them know, you know, it's going to be okay, and you really hope it is going to be okay.
Stay with us. I didn't think there was a chance for Andrew to even survive. I could see my daughter laying there. I kept telling him, we need the ambulance here now. We got to get him here. The boy needs him now. He's not going to make it.
Within 5 minutes of the call, a Clayton County Fire Med unit arrived, including paramedic Todd Graves.
You could tell it was just a load and go situation. You know, he had a lot of swelling to his head and a lot of deformity. He needed to be at the hospital.
When his face came up, it was like chalky white. It was just so terrible. I can't explain the feeling.
Ryan, go get me some electrodes out of the ambulance way.
I knew only a miracle would save him.
The helicopter came in and did a hot land where they don't cut the engines off. We just carry the patient right over, load them up, and then they're gone. Just that quick. After they airlifted Andrew off, I came up here and called my wife. She ain't got to work yet. So I told her dad at work what has happened. I told him that Andrew has got ran over by a car.
All right, here he comes.
3-year-old Andrew Payne was admitted to Eggleston Children's Hospital under the care of neurosurgeon Joseph Petronio.
His respiratory status was failing. He was not breathing well. He was not moving a lot of air. And all of this would only serve to make his brain swelling worse. So take a look at him.
We'll take it out in a second.
His eyes were deformed and they were separated. His nose was fractured and actually pushed back between the eye sockets. He had fractures of many of the bones of his skull. The frontal bone was actually forced through the dura, the membrane that covers the brain. Contusion, hemorrhagic. We were very concerned about his chances for survival.
Jan Payne joined her husband as soon as she could get to the hospital.
When I arrived, it was more like I was in shock. Daryl told me that it was his fault and that Andrew was gonna die. And I just told Daryl, you can't think that you gotta keep positive towards Andrew.
Mr. and Mrs. Payne? Hi, I'm Dr. Petroni, one of the nurse surgeons. We were very frank in our discussion with the Paynes. I told them that there is not a great deal of experience with children that have had such severe crushing injuries to the head that have survived, and there were many things that could potentially go wrong.
Just before Andrew went into surgery, his parents were allowed to see him.
He looked like he was on deathbed. That's what he looked like. He couldn't squeeze my hand, but I held his. And I just told him Mama was there and that I loved him. And I'll be there with him.
He was lying there, helpless. We told him we loved him. We was gonna pray for him. We left him alone.
Andrew underwent 8 hours of risky surgery to remove bone fragments and blood from his brain and reconstruct his skull and face. He remained in a coma.
The first few days were quite stormy. He had problems with brain swelling, as we expected, and really is the major cause of death in the first few days after this type of injury.
He stayed in ICU for 10 days, and each day he started getting better.
Monday, he just got up on his knees and held out his arm. He cried. That was good. I was glad to hear that.
Hey, Stephen. Oh, hey. That's really nice.
A year has passed since the accident.
He's doing real good. He's got all the abilities back that he had before. He had to go through therapy for 6 to 8 months to learn how to walk again and talk again. They couldn't believe how fast he poured through this.
We have a saying that trauma is no accident, and we sometimes lose sight of how fragile children are and how just a slip of the mind can result in a disastrous situation.
You got your napkins. Don't let your children play in the car. Lock the doors when you get out. Because they're just so dangerous.
Although Andrew has suffered some hearing loss, Dr. Petronio is amazed by his progress.
Hi, good to see you again. He's actually done better than we could ever imagine. He looks almost identical to his twin brother. Hi. How are you? Given how he looked when he first came in and given the concern that we had about whether or not it was even going to be possible to save his life, to see him playing with his twin brother now, I would consider that to be a miracle.
I'd like to thank all the people that were out here, the firemen, the police, the helicopter that did fly into the hospital, and especially Dr. Petronio. He's a great guy. He's super. He saved his life.
Next. In a canine search, what we do is we allow the handler and the dog to go first, and 1 or 2 deputies will follow.
Have you ever said this? The amount? Sure.
Percent interest.
This is in here.
Midnight, February 19th, 1989. Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies reported for duty on the night shift were briefed about a suspect wanted in a series of armed robberies.
The suspect is male, white, his 20s, and he has a split lower lip. The weapon is a handgun. The vehicle is a blue Ford Mustang, a fastback. It was sold by the RO to the suspect.
The vehicle was, I think, an early 70s Mustang, and it was rather unique. You don't see many of them around.
Around 2 a.m., Deputy Brian Cunningham was on patrol headed westbound on Somerset Boulevard.
I was approaching Downey Avenue when I saw a blue Ford Mustang backed into a parking space near the front door. I recognized that that was possibly the vehicle in the watch briefing. Close enough to the car to make a license plate on it, and then I ran the plate via sheriff's radio. It was moments later that the suspect walked out of the convenience store and made eye contact momentarily.
But the plates could not be confirmed. Apparently, the information about the vehicle had not been entered into the computer.
I followed the Mustang because I intended to stop the vehicle. I initiated a traffic stop. 136 boy, where am I? Suspicious vehicle. I'm making a traffic stop on Somerset Boulevard East. I left a little more room between the suspect's vehicle and my radio car than I normally would on any given traffic stop. The suspect started yelling at me as though he was trying to taunt me to come up and talk to him. I saw that he had a scar on his lower lip, which was consistent with the watch briefing that we had been given. He sped off from the traffic stop. It was very, very clear now that I had something and was putting out over the radio that I was in pursuit. Stop at Somerset. 136 units free containment. The female ran into the front door, and the suspect ran behind the house.
Deputy Cunningham immediately radioed for backup units to help contain the area. More than 20 members of the Sheriff's Department converged on the scene, under the direction of Sergeant Bob Kruger.
I responded to the location. By the time I got there, they already had a containment set up. They had a helicopter overhead, keeping the whole area under surveillance. Because it was a rather large area, it would be almost impossible to search it on foot. So we elected to use a canine unit.
Deputy Phil Geisler and his canine partner, Arco, had been working together for almost 2.5 years. Arco had been specially trained in Holland to assist and protect officers involved in dangerous searches.
Their senses are about 1,200 times as powerful as our sense of smell. They're able to distinguish many odors. As it's been put, that if there was a bowl of vegetable soup there, they can pick out each vegetable.
They arrived at the scene around 2:50 a.m.
We had a pursuit. It terminated over here.
Deputy Geisler was brought up to date and warned that the suspect was presumed to be armed and dangerous.
When I'm doing a search, I know that Arco's going to be the lead man out there. He's going to find the suspect before I will most of the time.
What? What's the layout look like in the backyard there? Okay, we're going to go ahead and deploy our along. We're going to put out.
In a canine search, what we do is we allow the handler and the dog to go first, and 1 or 2 deputies will follow to provide backup if he doesn't find a suspect.
He began working in the yard, attempting to pick up the scent. To me, that was an indication that there's somebody inside the garage area.
I can see Arco is still barking at the garage door. The guy's in there. Sheriff's Department, come on out! Send a dog in if you find they'll bite you! Ryan, open up the garage door on this side. I want you to come.
We positioned ourselves next to the garage, and Deputy Geisler opened the garage door. We were in a bad. The dog appeared to be confused. Deputy Geisler was trying to order the dog away from me, and he was having a lot of trouble getting the dog to respond to his commands.
He's not going in. Jerry, drop the gun! I said drop it! Gun's in his hand.
When I got to my feet, we began removing pieces of furniture so that we could get access to the suspect and ordered him to drop the gun. He didn't seem to have enough consciousness to respond to our orders at that time.
Yeah, I got him.
And we went in and handcuffed him and retrieved the weapon. We called rescue, and the suspect died before the paramedics got there.
Later on, I found out a lot about the suspect. Found out that his girlfriend had told deputies that he had just got out of jail. He wasn't going to go back. He told her, "Yeah, I'm going to shoot it out with the cops. I'm not going to go back." As I was driving back to Lakewood Station, I heard licking sound. So when I opened up the back door, he kept on licking, and then as he turned his head and looked towards me, I saw that there were what appeared to be 2 bullet wounds with blood on the side of his fur. Arco had been shot. It's okay, buddy. We've been together almost nonstop, 24 hours a day. We've been through a lot. I love the dog just as if he was my partner or even my kids.
Arco was rushed to a nearby animal hospital where he was treated by Dr. David Hogue.
He was a very lucky dog. He was easily within an inch of being dead in terms of the entry wounds, especially up in the shoulder area. They were very close to the carotid arteries in the neck region. If they had been towards the center of the body another inch, they would have entered the chest cavity. The bullet would have then probably done grave damage in the chest cavity also.
After 2 weeks of recuperating, Arco was back on the force with his partner.
It proves that a dog can save lives. They're out there, they give it their 110%. If it wasn't for Arco, I think that either another deputy or I wouldn't be here today to tell the story.
On May 15, 1990, the Los Angeles SPCA presented a special Hero Dog Award to Arco, recognizing his bravery in saving his partner's life.
At the time of retirement, I do get the benefit of keeping Arco. They give me the option, do you want to keep the dog or do we have to give him away? And of course, being my buddy, my partner, and a friend close to me, the way I love my dog, he's going to stay with me. What?
They're here. Seasonal favorites from Imperfect Foods, the grocery delivery service on a mission to build a better food system, offering sustainable, affordable groceries delivered once a week.
Shop now. Get 20% off your first 4 orders with code PERFECT4 at imperfectfoods.com/TV.
What are leak-proof underwear? These are leak-proof underwear. Machine washable undies that look and feel just like normal. And that absorb up to 8 spoons of liquid to protect you from periods, bladder leaks, and sweat. Find your leak-proof underwear at Knix.com.
In these challenging days, it's important to stay covered when you're outdoors, and not just from the sun. Keep cool and stay covered with Mission Instantly Cool.
Then replace the contents of her capsules with the deadly poison. He had also offered Ranjit a remedy for his back. Little did the man know, the pills he took were laced with strychnine. In July of 2001, Suckwinder was convicted of the murder of his wife. He received a life sentence. Later that year, he received an additional life term for the murder of Ranjit Kela.
First responders jump into action. Rescue 911 next.
This program contains true stories of rescues. All of the 911 calls you will hear are real. Whenever possible, the actual people involved have helped us reconstruct the events as they happened. Sometimes the margin between safety and danger is only a split second. I'm William Shatner. Tonight, true stories of quick thinking and bravery in a crisis on Rescue 911. We begin the day after a severe storm swept through the desert community of Phoenix, Arizona. Most of the footage in this story was taped as the events unfolded on August 15th, 1990.
In the Phoenix community, the rains would hit the mountainous areas quite heavily. As they do that, you can't ever predict how much water is going to be coming down.
It doesn't rain a whole lot here. And when it does rain, people don't realize how deep these washers are and how fast they're running. And this happens every year that somebody will try to drive through them and get stranded.
There's a potential for being swept downstream the vehicle itself. And as the vehicle is swept downstream, there's a potential for it to fill up. They're trapped inside of it. Or there's always a potential for the vehicle to start rolling, turn upside down, now they're really trapped inside of it. And potential for drowning always exists in a situation like that.
Channel 3, order rescue assignment. Car in the wash at 35th Avenue and Pinnacle Peak Road. Special call for Battalion 3.
a specially trained swiftwater rescue team, and a police helicopter piloted by Phil Tilford immediately responded.
These type of missions, they're totally different from our normal control. They get the adrenaline going.
Captain Paramedic Tim Gallagher headed up the special unit.
For us as rescuers, it presents a real challenge because the infrequency of this type of situation, we don't get to practice it all the time to become very proficient at it. Well, as we arrived on the scene, I saw the vehicle out in the middle of the wash. We noticed that there were 2 occupants inside of the vehicle, and we knew that we had to move pretty quick before the car was swept downstream.
When we continued,
I felt a little more sense of urgency as we got in close to them, and I was able to look into their eyes. I saw that they were absolutely terrified.
Today, women with nighttime urinary incontinence don't have to wake up wet. Introducing the PureWick system, an innovative breakthrough system for managing female urinary incontinence at night.
Morning, Mom. Good morning. How did you sleep? Better, thank you. Oh, I'm so glad. Okay.
The PureWick system works outside the body to draw urine away, helping to keep skin dry and control odor. The PureWick system is a
fix their own.
Electric and get.
When you're out after dark, keep a few things in mind. Avoid being alone. There's definitely safety in numbers. Keep your hands free. If you're busy texting or have your hands full, you won't be able to react quickly to a situation. Make eye contact with anyone approaching. While your first instinct may be to stare at the ground, look the person straight in the eyes and continue walking. It makes it more difficult for a sneak attack. It's the best way to be aware and be safe.
Our firefighters were getting into their personal flotation devices and their safety helmets. We began at that point in time to try to get safety lines to the vehicle to stabilize the situation as best we could.
How about the stability of the truck? Well, I'd say the stability of the truck is real poor at this time. Is there any way that the helicopter is going to be able to utilize the rescue of those 2 people? We're talking about it right now, Rick.
It was a consideration to go with the helicopter, but the pilot felt there would have been too much weight on the one side of the helicopter, and we would probably pull the helicopter into the water. Then it was the plan B, to actually go get in the water, attempt to go out and get them and pull them to safety.
But with floodwaters rushing at 15 feet per second, the rescuers would be putting their own lives at risk.
We picked up the life preservers from arriving fire department units and went out over the water again.
You have to talk to the pilot continually at this time. He has no idea where the skid is on the aircraft, what the position of the aircraft, the tail rotor. If you struck the car, there's a good chance that the ship's going to go outside. And that would be a catastrophe.
I felt a little more sense of urgency as we got in close to them, and I was able to look into their eyes. I saw that they were absolutely terrified. The fact that they were older caused me more concern, and that it was going to be a difficult operation because we were going to have to do most of the work. We had one rope secured to the east bank. We needed to secure the other side to the west bank. We were flaking the rope off and realized that it was not long enough to reach to the other bank. So we'd secured the second rope to the east bank as well. So we decided that we would attempt to do what's called a shallow water crossing, to go out and actually pull the victims out and bring them to shore.
Line 33 is going to go downstream to the south in case we need it for secondary.
I had one crew that was downstream with ropes and throw bags, so that if people started floating downstream, we could get to them.
As I moved out into the water, I noticed a bunch of barbed wire directly downstream. And I thought to myself, if I let go, I'm going to end up in the middle of that barbed wire. As I moved through the vehicle, I realized the difficulty, not only the force of the water, it was also deeper than what I had anticipated.
You feel these boulders coming at you, and they hit your knees and legs. Underneath the water, all this debris coming by, and just pounding your legs.
When I got out to the victims, I was on the driver's side, which happened to be the man. I just felt that he was right there, so he came out first. My worst fear was letting go of the victim. And every single step that I took was very critical in my balance.
With his wife still trapped in the unstable truck, 62-year-old William Babella was pulled to safety.
I was scared throughout the whole ordeal. What I was thinking was, don't let go of the rope, because I'm going to do everything they tell me to do to hang on to get the heck over to the safe side. I was more worried about the wife than myself, because she can't swim.
She was almost catatonic in fear. It was somewhat difficult to communicate with her because she was terrified. I believe she was so afraid that she was doing exactly step by step what I had told her to do. And I had even told her to walk on my feet.
Nearly 90 minutes after they tried to drive across a flooded road, Marie Babella was finally out of danger.
When I got to the shore there, it was hard breathing because of holding on that rope and fighting the water. But I was happy, and it was over, and I was saved. And I'm so thankful.
We got out very, very lucky. No bruises, no broken bones, no trip to the hospital.
There's nothing that you need to do that is so imperative that you have to get to the other side of an unknown situation that quickly. Things can wait.
I will never attempt it again. It's just dangerous. I can't even remember how we got in there so quick. We did.
Next.
I felt that they were there to possibly kidnap or do harm to Kelly.
With Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Don't worry, help is on the way.
With any of Life Alert's 1-800
and did nothing. Were diagnosed with.
As a parent,
information and a free case review. A history of smoking may not disqualify your claim. Call now.
As a parent, there's nothing more frightening than knowing your child's in danger, and there's nothing you can do to help. For George and Vicki O'Brien of Beaverton, Oregon, that moment came on January 14th, 1989. The O'Briens' oldest daughter had to cancel her babysitting job at the last minute, but their middle daughter, 10-year-old Kelly, offered to fill in.
Kelly's a very good babysitter. We've always felt very comfortable with the job that she would do. And it was in the afternoon, too, and we didn't feel any alarm or worry about sending her out.
Mary Willis picked up Kelly and drove her the 3 miles to the Willis' house.
We felt like we lived in a safe place.
She had been babysitting for us for a number of times, so there wasn't too much to orient her to, just explain what Comey had eaten and put him down for a nap at about 1 or 1:30. With that, we left the apartment.
I'm gonna lock you in, so you go ahead and just throw the latch.
I know we deadbolted the door with the key from the outside.
Take that. Are you tired, Cody? Come on, let's go take me out.
Around 2 p.m., Kelly took 2-year-old Comey upstairs for his afternoon nap.
Night.
Sheriff's Deputy Dwayne Fuquay recalls what happened next.
Apparently an individual had driven up in front of the duplex looking at a young girl that was inside the duplex. I believe she was 10 years old. She saw this individual in the car looking at her or staring at her. She moved out of line of sight of the individual in the car. He moved the car so that he could continue to watch and possibly see her again. At about the same time that this was happening out front, someone was knocking, another unknown, knocking on the back door or a back window of the duplex.
What do you want?
The individual in the back of the house continued to knock and bang on the door.
She was talking so quickly and yelling that I could hardly understand anything she said. She was in a situation where she didn't know where she was. So we immediately began a trace, which normally takes approximately 8 minutes. In 8 minutes, we're talking the difference between life and death.
What's your phone number there? I don't know. Can you look at the phone and look? It doesn't say.
She didn't have information enough for me to start police over there.
Kelly, what is in the house that's scaring you? There's somebody outside, not there. We're driving on the inside. Somebody's in a car and they're looking at me. Someone's looking at you? Yes. Where are you from, Kelly? Somebody I don't know. I know I'm like... Okay, try and calm down, Kelly. Try and calm
I felt that they were there to possibly kidnap the child that was upstairs, or possibly do harm to Kelly. We realized that possibly we might be able to help her faster if we called her parents.
What's the address where she is?
As we tried to figure out where she was and then to find exactly the address,
Yeah, I don't have the exact address, ma'am, I'm sorry.
my mind became a little confused. I knew the directions to their place, I knew their first names, I could go there in a minute. I did not know their phone number, I did not know their address, I did not know their last name.
We needed to have police sent at least to the area where she was at.
The
dispatchers passed Kelly's father's directions on to Deputy Fuquay. They were all they had to go on.
You think about what can happen to this young girl when we did not know where she was exactly, but we knew that there was a small child in trouble. I was concerned in trying to get there as fast.
You want to do something to know that you can help.
We pulled out the phone directory, we started thumbing through that, looking for the names of our friends who lived next to them.
Without an enhanced 911 system, the dispatchers could not get Kelly's address automatically.
Here's your friend's place.
You always wonder, is this going to be another statistic? Is it going to be another tragic situation? You run through the gamut of emotions, you run through the entire realm of what could happen as you're trying to get to the location as quick as possible. Not finding the suspect vehicle, we did an area check. The scene was safe and secure.
I felt relieved that I knew that Kelly was safe. I'm extremely proud of Kelly. I think she did a remarkable job for a 10-year-old.
No, she's real sharp. She's very sharp. She dialed 911, did the right thing. You'd like to think that all young children would respond the same way, but in fact they don't.
You okay?
She just gave me a big hug, and that was about all she could muster at that point. To have her safe again, that to me was the peak of the happy ending.
My advice to other children that are babysitting is to always have the name and address of the people you're babysitting for and to lock the door.
Kelly's definitely responsible for saving Comey's life. Had she opened the door and someone got in, they could have been beaten up, they could have been kidnapped, they could have been killed. I hope I've been able to express to Kelly how grateful I am to her. We're extremely grateful to Kelly for saving Comey's life.
When selling your home, one wrong move can cost.
Okay, I'm gonna go to YouTube and like this video. Okay, click on more, click the thumbs up to like the video. Okay, click on. Go back to Streamium.
And Snicker to write down that line.
It takes three to make one Acuna, and even Tim, if it's not Acuna, having the sum of those parts be close, it's helped them. How about the Giants and their inability to seemingly ever lose a game?
They are an amazing team this year. They went into today with the most home runs in the major leagues. They are the only team with 10 different guys with at least 10 home runs. And they have 63 games this year, multi-homer games. The club record is 67, set in 1947, and that's a pretty rich history of Giant sluggers over the years. And the point of this, they don't have anyone with 25 homers, and yet they have 213 as a team. So when they get to the postseason, this is why they'll be so dangerous. You can't just get the middle of the order out and sail all the way through. 1 through 8 in that order can hit the ball out of the ballpark, and that's why the Giants are so good right now.
And strong up the middle, they generally don't hurt themselves. They haven't hurt themselves this year. Their defense has been great. And before we get into the Mets and Yankees, one thing that Tim, you know, and Eduardo, you've watched, base running's been a problem for teams, and this time of year, the little things will kill you. You cannot make defensive mistakes. As we look ahead, let's look back to Javi Baez, for instance, in this game. Javi Baez not comfortable at second base as he was at short. Airmails one year. A dreadful error allows a whole bunch of eventual runs to score. We saw this with Rafael Devers last night for the Red Sox. They won the game. Mets ended up losing, but it's amazing as you watch baseball games down the stretch. Mistakes against good teams that are fighting for the playoffs, like giving the Rays or Giants extra outs or the Blue Jays, you lose those games, right?
Yeah, you definitely lose those games. That's why Farhan Zaidi out in San Francisco is loving it because you look at his infield. It's a veteran infield that has done it before, especially with all the gold gloves that they have combined in the left side of the
Crawford's been great. All right, that's the Giant story. Let's not make mistakes if we can't. Subway Series, we are set for another showdown tonight. Big game between the Yankees and the Mets. Clark Schmidt gets the call. Buster Olney is going to join us as we continue. Baseball tonight, Sunday night countdown.
The most compensation for your injuries. If you or a family.
Step out of the car, please.
This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911, a lesson learned. Kids rely on what they were taught to save grandma's life.
I was yelling to her, fire, get out of the house. I was afraid she wasn't gonna get out. It's so heartbreaking.
Plus, a careless zookeeper falls prey to a caged cat.
There's 4 big puncture wounds to her throat. There, I thought. She's dead.
On Rescue 911.
We begin in Springfield, Illinois, August of 1992, as Anna Juarez and her 2 children, Sonny and Crystal, were attending the state fair.
Have a great time at the Illinois State Fair. Okay, let's go on the fire tent.
Every year we go to the state fair and they have a fire safety tent where they teach the kids. They show you how to get out of a fire, how to talk to a lady when you dial 911, and when a situation like this happens, not to panic. My kids have done it for the last 8 years, and every year that we go back, they go automatically right to it.
On July 22nd, 1993, Anna went to work as usual, leaving her kids at home with their 79-year-old grandmother, Julia Juarez.
I woke up early in the morning to watch TV, and my grandma was cooking breakfast in the kitchen. I love my grandma just like she was my second mom. I was kind of bored, and so I went to my sister's room to wake her up, which I'm not supposed to do. Every time I do that, I get in trouble for it. Come on, Crystal, wake up. Crystal, wake up. Come on, let's go. Whoa. Come on, let's go watch TV. Get up. I got up really mad because he always wakes me up in the morning saying, uptime baby, uptime baby. Come on. I like to sleep late, around 12. I get up. Oh, fat cat. We heard a popping noise, and a few minutes later, I smelled smoke. Is that burnt something in the kitchen? I don't know, go check. I was really scared when I seen those flames coming out of my sister's room. I didn't know what to do. Then I remember all the stuff they taught us at the state fair. My grandma was holding her hands and crying like she wanted to go inside our room to get her religious statues and stuff like that. With all the smoke and the fire, I thought my grandma was gonna die.
911 emergency. Hello?
When we continue.
I ran around to get my grandma out the back door. I was yelling to her, fire, get out of the house, fire. And she was just frozen.
The moment you order the world's most delicious snacks from Nuts.com, something truly magical happens. Freshness, your choice of that have all first pipe.
Saved us thousands of dollars. Say 5 or 9.
Podcasts and more. I grabbed my sister and I told her.
10-year-old sister Crystal and their 79-year-old grandmother Julia. Someone managed to dial 911 from the house, but when the dispatcher got on the line, no one was there.
I grabbed my sister and I told her we'll get out the back door.
Hello? 911 emergency. Sus, it's your grandma's house.
Joliet police dispatcher Susan Juarez was alerted that the mystery call was from her grandmother's house.
My supervisor couldn't get a response, so she thought maybe it was my grandmother calling, because my grandmother doesn't speak English.
I went next door to my Aunt Mary's house and I was pounding on the door and she wouldn't come out. I ran around to get my grandma out the back door. Mama! Mama! I was yelling to her, fire, get out of the house, fire. And she just wouldn't budge, she was just frozen.
Sonny told me there's a fire, and I ran. I was very scared. I was afraid she wasn't gonna get out.
Hello? Sonny, if you're there, pick up the phone.
I was speaking in English and in Spanish, trying to get somebody to answer the phone.
911 emergency.
Another 911 call came in, and I looked on the screen, and it was my aunt's address.
Okay, we'll send them right over for you. As soon as the house is on fire.
When she said it was a fire, first thing that came through my mind was that my grandmother was there, and usually she's by herself. So I just wanted to get there to see if I could get her out and make sure she was out.
I'm scared for my grandma because I know how fast smoke can get to somebody. And I said, come on, Grandma, come on, let's get out. I put my hand out and she grabbed my hand. I was glad that she came to me because I would be like really, really sad if she went into that room.
By the time I got next door, the fire was bad. If it wasn't for my niece and nephew, she would have stayed there. I tried to save her house.
The Joliet Fire Department arrived within 3 minutes.
Is there anybody left in the house?
It was very tough seeing my house burning because the fire started in my room and I was thinking that I would have burned if my brother didn't wake me up.
As soon as Anna was notified of the fire at work, she rushed home to find her family.
When I saw my mom and my 2 kids in the front yard, and it was just like a big load off my chest. They're the most important thing in my life, and I just couldn't imagine even thinking that they wouldn't have gotten out of the fire.
I saw my grandmother standing in the yard. I've never been so relieved to see someone in my life. But the look of devastation on her face and to see her crying, it was so heartbreaking.
The cause of the fire was never completely determined.
The Springfield Fire Department's Child Safety Now.
1 month later, the Juarez family returned again to the Illinois State Fair.
In a real fire situation, if you're...
I think every kid should go to the fire display at the state fair because some kids might not know what to do in a fire and they might end up killed.
What we're going to do here today, we're going to show you what...
Springfield Public Education Officer Bob England, who oversees the fire services exhibit, is proud of the impact it has on children.
The most popular exhibit that we have is their Survive Alive house. You crawl over here and once you feel that door, we teach them to crawl low, under smoke, and go. Because flames will kill you, but smoke will kill you quicker. Here we go. There's a smoke detector. If the door's hot, we don't want them to open it up. But if it's not hot, we want them to open it up. That door hot? Open it up. They're going to shut that door and they're going to go out the window. The second way out. Right here. Unlock it. Every person should have a planned evacuation procedure and they should go over it with their families.
I learned to get out of the house safely and not to go back in a room where there's fire and stuff.
It's my honor.
Recently, the governor of Illinois presented Sonny and Crystal Juarez with a special heroism award.
My kids are the world to me, and when they do good things, I'm very proud, but something like this was the ultimate.
On behalf of the 11.5 million people, say thank you or congratulations.
I
I'm very proud of my brother for saving me, not panicking, and being very brave.
Kids have to be taught at a very early age. You have to plant it in their head how to get to safety, how to take care of people around you, and not to think that anything is more important in their lives, because it's not. We lost everything, but I still have my kids and I still have my mom. We had a smoke detector, which for some reason didn't go off that day. Since we rebuilt the house, we've got smoke detectors on every floor with the battery backup.
I see my grandma every day, and I'm like really glad that we're still here. I love my grandma very much. If she hadn't made it, I would have missed her a lot, very much.
I'm very proud of my grandchildren. I raised them since they were little babies. I love them as though they were my own children. The children saved me. They are my guardian angels.
Next, a zookeeper's job entails a great deal of risk. Small human oversights can have catastrophic effects.
Why are so many people turning to Super Beats crystals? Because Super Beats crystals give you the energy and blood pressure support you want from real beets without the beet taste.
It's amazing that something so simple can be this great for my heart. It tastes good and it's healthy for me and it's healthy for my blood pressure. I love it.
Super Beats is giving me a different energy that I've never had before. I'm rolling. I'm rocking. I'm like a 40-year-old, but I'm 62.
Inspired by the Nobel blood flow without
View auto insure.
It's right.
People who care for wild animals know just how unpredictable it can be. On December 29th, 1994, 26-year-old zookeeper Judy McCullough was starting her usual morning rounds, putting out food and cleaning the exhibits at the Riverside Zoo in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, unaware that everything was not as it should be. The director at the zoo is Paul Price. A zookeeper's job is very structured and very routine because it is a job that entails a great deal of risk and potential danger. You need to concentrate on what you're doing, double check and triple check everything that you do. Small human oversights can have catastrophic effects. Kelly Jensen was another zookeeper on duty that morning.
I went up to the zebra exhibit, and Judy was going to the cats.
Judy knew the cat had been locked up the night before, so she made the assumption that the cat wasn't present in the enclosure.
I just heard the short, startled scream. I knew that she was still cleaning somewhere around the cat's. I ran through the cat building and opened the door there, and then I saw Judy.
See anybody? I need anybody down to cats now.
An announcement came that there was an emergency situation in the leopard exhibit. I envisioned that we had an animal escape.
No, one emergency?
We need an ambulance. Okay, what's going on? We had a tiger that is, has a keeper down, maybe loose, we're not exactly sure. All right.
Got Chaz in with Judy. Lock the door. Okay, let's get it.
I had Bob secure the area, and then together we both screamed at him.
Get off there, cat! Get off there!
The biggest concern I had was that the cat would attack her again.
Can you hear me? Judy! Can you hear me, Judy? Get off her!
I was still playing on this drain pipe, and Bob was hitting the fence, and he finally backed off from her.
Come on, Chaz, come on! Can you hear me? Come on, Judy! Judy's down!
Leopards usually inflict a single bite to the throat and crush the trachea and kill by suffocation.
Right now! Move it! Tell it! I need something.
I knew that she was, if not dead, she was gravely injured, and that we needed to get her out immediately.
Let's move it! Right now! Let's go!
He brought back a Rubbermaid trash can lid and a squeegee.
Shovel!
She's got the shovel inside.
Okay, well, keep the squeegee. I can't do anything with that. Okay, now, you're gonna follow me. Stay with me now. Okay.
When a leopard becomes possessive, you can't take anything away from them that they don't want to let go of.
Stay close.
We were afraid that he was going to challenge us for Judy, which was his prey.
Close. If the cat comes at me, close the gate and wait for the rifle.
Okay?
Easy. Easy, Chaz. Steady. Easy, Chaz. Easy. Easy. Easy, Chaz. Easy. Easy, Chaz.
I kind of held my breath a little bit, thought, hey, here it comes. But then he backed off.
Easy. 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 Easy, Chaz. Easy. 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 Easy.
Once we got her out, I turned back around and looked at her. And I thought, she's dead.
The zoo veterinarian came to help, along with curator Caroline Meek.
You're gonna be okay, Judy.
When we pulled her out, Judy just looked ghastly. Her color was like concrete.
Watch your breathing.
She was so limp and so gray.
CPR here. Keep it in.
Be all right.
She started gasping for air.
She's
There's 4 big puncture wounds to her throat.
Be all right.
all right. Keep her airway open.
She exhaled and she started blowing foamy blood out the holes in her neck and out her mouth and out her nostrils. I was horrified.
Within 5 minutes, Valley Ambulance paramedic Dan Nation and his partner arrived on the scene.
Leopards either try to choke their victim down or try to snap their neck. Well, we knew she had an airway problem, whether she had crushed her trachea, how long she had been without air, and whether she'd fractured her neck. That was our biggest concern. She might have been without oxygen long enough that even though she was alive, long term could have meant a stroke or brain death.
At Regional West Medical Center, 26-year-old Judy McAuliffe was examined by ear, nose, and throat doctor James Massey.
She was in severe danger. She continued to leak air from the injury in her voice box. That air then traveled under the skin into her chest and continued to compress her lungs. Had that gone on a great deal longer, she wouldn't have had the ability to breathe.
Yes, Mr. McAuliffe.
Paul called Judy's parents from the hospital.
At the Riverside Zoo.
I told them it was a very serious situation and that we didn't know if she was going to make it or not.
Emergency room now.
The biggest thing that I wanted to do was to assure her parents that Judy wasn't alone.
The CAT scan showed that 2 of the main arteries that supply the brain were clotted and no longer providing blood to the brain. A large incision was made in her neck for the purpose of exploring those arteries to be sure that they were not on the verge of rupturing, and that she had good circulation to her brain from the remaining 2 arteries. Then we proceeded with the reconstruction of her voice box and her trachea.
Michaela and William McAuliffe flew to Nebraska to be with their youngest daughter.
She was coming out of surgery, dopey, but she recognized us. She couldn't say anything, of course, but there was just a peace about her.
Who's your lady?
I love Judy. She makes me smile with my heart.
Ted McGoldridge is the director at Santa Barbara. Him and I went to rock school together.
Judy's recovery has been remarkably quick.
The improvement was amazing, as you could see it by the hour. We went to work in 2 weeks.
You'll be a real true zookeeper.
Blessing is that she doesn't remember anything. Doesn't think a thing of it. Well, those things happen, I think, is her attitude. She'll just be a little more careful next time.
So, here they are. They're both there.
I think I was in a hurry and I got careless and I assumed the cat was not in there.
Him and her are this close together.
I don't have any emotional hang-ups about it, but I am a whole lot more careful than I used to be. I believe I said that very same thing.
Is that what you said? Yeah, exactly. When a person goes through something like this, either they decide zookeeping's not for me, or they're the best employee that you're ever going to have. You would choose not to season your zookeepers in this manner, but when this does happen, you thank God for every day that you're alive, because you're lucky to be here. You growl just enough to say, hey, what's going on?
The doctors were very skillful. The firemen and the paramedics were wonderful, but the zoo director that pulled her out has to be the hero. I feel that he's saved her life.
You like to see kittens. Yummy, that's good stuff, huh? I really enjoy the chimpanzees. I've been working with them for almost 4 years now, and I think of them as hairy people. That's a good boy. I love being a zookeeper. I couldn't be anything else.
Broken air conditioner? That could be a $4,400 bill you weren't expecting. Fridge on the fritz? That could cost you $2,500. First pipe? That could be $1,100. But not if you have a home warranty plan from First American. With a First American home warranty plan, when a covered appliance or system breaks, call or click. That's it. And we'll repair or replace it for you. And for most covered repairs, all you pay is a small service fee. We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month, and most come with a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee.
A leak came from the ceiling. We made a call to First American. All fixed.
Everything they fixed has stayed fixed.
Last year alone, we saved our customers.
Or visit.
Secure Services Virtual Cloud. Classroom.
Took her body into the bathroom, into the bathtub, and let it bleed out in that bathtub. Put new clothes on the body, new red, bright, visible clothes. Took her body out and laid her body out, not under the railroad trestle where it would be hidden, but near the railroad trestle, but in an area where she would be visible in that bright red outfit, because he wanted her to be found. She had to be found in order for him later to collect the insurance.
Charles Abbott was charged and convicted of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison.
First responders jump into action. Rescue 911 next.
This program contains true stories of rescues. All of the 911 calls you will hear are real. Whenever possible, the actual people involved have helped us reconstruct the events as they happened. begin on July 26, 1989, near Chico, California, where 17-year-old Sue Miller and a group of high school friends were spending a hot summer day on the Sacramento River.
As long as I've lived here, it's been the thing to tube down Sacramento, and I had never done it before. I don't think most any of us had. At first I was a little leery, because I'd heard a lot of horror stories about going down the river. You had to be careful because of the snags, but the water was so calm, it didn't seem like, anything could hurt you. We had brought an ice chest along to bring Cokes and stuff in, and it kept floating away, and it was just a bother. People were just, everyone would go get their ice chest. So Reed decided he'd just loosely tie the rope on around his ankle just to keep the ice chest there. We wouldn't have to worry about it floating away.
15-year-old Reed Taylor, star quarterback of his high school football team, was the only one on an inflatable raft that day.
We had some zinc to put on our face, like red and green, and so Reed started drawing lightning bolts or, just goofing off. He's real fun. We were having a really good time.
Although the air temperature was 105 degrees that day, the water was only 55. Unlike the others, 17-year-old Shelley Carrier had been tubing before.
It took quite a while for everyone to get in because it was so cold. And right when we got in, another girl and I had noticed that there was a snag. And so we said, you need to put your feet in and kick out of the way. Everyone kind of ignored us. It's cold, we don't want to put our feet in.
About a mile upstream was a boat dock and restaurant owned by John Scott. On his own, he patrolled the river, helping boaters and tubers in trouble.
I've fished for all my life, and I know the river, and I know how to operate it. When the river's up high, most of the snags are covered up, and most people float over top of the snags, and we don't have a whole lot of problems. But when the water's down low, there's snags everywhere, and it's a nightmare for us and for everybody else out there on the river.
Reed was on the raft, he really couldn't kick, and there was so much weight I couldn't, kick hard enough to pull us away from the snag, so we basically just headed right for the snag. The current was so strong that it just pulled me right under the snag. And when I came up on their side, my foot was caught in the branches that were under the water. He somehow got my foot loose, stuck me on his raft, pushed me away and told me he'd be there soon. His back was to me, and it seemed like he was clutching to the snag. I couldn't understand why didn't he just climb onto the snag? Once the river turned, I couldn't see him anymore. And I just kept waiting. I kept looking to see when he was coming, and he never came.
Cindy Waters was tubing with a friend that day when she heard Reed scream for help.
He didn't say anything until we were right there. And once you get right there, there's nothing you can do because the current just takes you past. He looked horrified. He was in sheer terror. I couldn't climb from the shore to the snag. I had to jump back into the river because of how dense the berry vines were through there. When I was on the snag, I only had one free hand. I pulled on the rope to bring him towards me and stuck the rope under my teeth so he wouldn't slip back into the water, and used my free hand to pull up some more, but from his waist to his head, he was still submerged underwater. I was desperate to try to save him, and I started chewing on the rope. I'd see the life go right out of him, and you could see him move in the current, but it wasn't from him being alive, it was because the water was moving him. I wanted to do whatever I could do to help him, but what I did wasn't good enough. I knew there was nothing I could do to save him. I got sucked back down the stream, past the point of even being able to hang back on to the shore again.
When we continue,
I picked up the rope and I didn't see anything. And all of a sudden I seen this leg come out.
Do you have trouble hearing conversations? Are you constantly asking loved ones to repeat themselves? Do you miss out on discussions or talking with friends? Then you would benefit. The CIC is nearly...
Definitely. It's not complimentary. Especially when you're alone.
And was along the Sacramento River, relayed word.
Attention. Attach one to your keychain. It could be a lifesaver. Instead of yelling help when in distress, yell fire. It's a proven fact more people will respond to fire than approve for help. Be prepared and be safe.
15-year-old Reed Taylor had been trapped underwater for as long as 20 minutes, showing no signs of life. Bystanders along the Sacramento River relayed word of his desperate situation to John Scott, the owner of the nearby boat dock.
We checked the whole river on the way down, but we basically know already where we're going, which snags to look at.
Accompanying John were two of his employees, including Eric Olson, who had never been on a rescue attempt before.
So I started looking for somebody above the water, you know. But John had spotted some tubes that there was nobody around, you know. Like, why are we going over there? He saw an ice chest sticking out like a tree. And he just headed right for it. He kind of knew. When I picked up the rope, I didn't see anything. And all of a sudden, I seen this leg come out.
Once that rope's cut, there's no second chance. We either, we get him in the boat or we lose him.
The current was so strong that I almost fell in the water myself. I almost let go of him. The kid couldn't weigh more than 150 pounds, and it took 3 guys well over 200 pounds to get this kid out. The current was just, it felt like a magnet.
After being trapped underwater for as long as 25 minutes, Reed was not breathing and had no pulse.
We just started CPR. Once we got started on that procedure, the next thing we thought was getting back as fast as that boat could get us back. We radioed back to the landing, told them to call 911, that we have a possible drown victim to have the ambulance unit at our boat launch.
Chico Medic 2, we got a report of a drowning at Scotty's Landing off River Road.
He really didn't seem to be coming through at all. All the water just came out. They just kept coming out more and more. It just wouldn't stop, it seemed like. He was underwater too long.
By the time Reed's friends reached their truck, they were still unaware of how serious his condition was.
We heard that he was at Scotty's boat landing and they were administering first aid. Oh, first aid. I'm like, phew, he's out of the water. I'm thinking first aid. He got bumped, on the logs and stuff. And everyone's like, oh, cool. He's out. He's okay.
A lot of people were willing to help us. It was a really good feeling to see.
4, 5, 6.
I told him, don't let go. I said, we're right here. We're all here helping you. Don't give up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He didn't look good.
As soon as paramedic Jeff Moore and his partner Carrie Allen arrived, they took over Reed's care.
It took us approximately 8 minutes to get to the scene, which for us is at the upper limits of our response time. We were immediately fraught with a sense of helplessness. This individual, it was reported, may have been down as long as 1 hour.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The patient wasn't breathing and didn't have a pulse. In fact, we could call him clinically dead. In the back of my mind, I thought, we don't have any hope. And maybe we're even doing this for aesthetic value. Maybe we're doing this because there's a bunch of people around watching us. We got him back to the ambulance and we gave him an advanced airway. Instituted an intravenous line, gave him several cardiac medications to stimulate his heart.
Just look, there was nothing there. There was nothing. He was blue. I mean, it just looked like that couldn't be Reed. I mean, not the guy that was painting faces on was zinc, you know. It was hard for me to think that if anything had happened to Reed, he saved my life.
Initially, there was no response. After a battery of medications, which was standard for this absence of cardiac rhythm, we were approximately 6 minutes into the transportation en route to the hospital when one of the rescuers thought she detected a faint pulse. He's down anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour.
Reed was admitted under the care of Dr. Terry Fraters.
He had no blood pressure. He was extremely cold, 14 to 16 degrees below what's considered a normal body temperature. He appeared clinically dead.
With a core body temperature of only 82 degrees, Reed was severely hypothermic. In an effort to slowly raise his body temperature, they administered warm oxygen and circulated warm fluids through his stomach. They administered warm oxygen and circulated warm fluids through his stomach.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
While doctors and nurses fought to save Reed's life, his parents, Rocky and Judy Taylor, arrived.
We just tried to talk to him as much as we could, hoping he would open his eyes and come to. But I don't think anybody thought he was going to.
For twin brother Jeremy, the shock was overwhelming.
I tried thinking about Reed not being there, and I couldn't even think about it. I couldn't even imagine that we wouldn't be together.
Around 3 a.m., a nurse brought the Taylor family some news.
I don't think anybody could believe it when she came out and said Reed's opened his eyes. So we all went racing in there, and he was back asleep again. And then she said, Reed, open your eyes. And he did. He just opened his eyes. It was wonderful.
Oh, good. That's the way. You see your mom?
My mom grabbed hold of his hand, and he squeezed her hand. And then while he was doing this, he kind of rolled his head over, and he just looked at me and gave me the faintest smile. And right then I just knew.
After only 4 days in the hospital, Reed was released, showing no ill effects from his near drowning.
The immersion in cold water, much reduced. The amount of requirements that are needed to sustain life, particularly the brain. But I feel that it was miraculous resuscitation, and if the resurrection was a 10, this was would score about a 9.
I just didn't think it'd happen. I couldn't believe it. Because I didn't remember anything, so it was like it never happened to me.
He doesn't like to talk about the accident, but he can talk about it with me. I think it's mostly because I was there with him.
At the beginning of Reed's sophomore year of high school, his friend Sue Miller went off to college.
Did you get it all? Yeah. I'm gonna miss him. I mean, he saved my life, and I think there's always gonna be a special feeling there. Thank you.
1 year later, Reed is quarterback of the football team again. His complete recovery still amazes rescuer John Scott.
It's something that I'll never forget the rest of my life. And when you look at a kid that was lifeless laying on a beach or in the water, And then you look at him, he's breathing, he's up and about, and he's bright-eyed, he's smiling, he looks good, you know. That's the most exciting thing that ever happened.
I love all those people. I love them all. A special place in heaven for people like that. No doubt about it.
Next.
I was waiting for my mom to pick me up, and she came across the street and picked me up by the playground.
Why are so many people turning to Super Beats crystals? Because Super Beats crystals give you the energy and blood pressure support you want to help white beats.
Get her prescription.
Than being unable to come to the aid of a loved one.
That's the best part.
Go to Nurix.com to get started.
There's no feeling more helpless than being unable to come to the aid of a loved one in need, as Heidi Nunez discovered on December 18th, 1985, near her home in Redlands, California.
I was on my way to pick up my daughter from school. She was in kindergarten at the time.
Heidi was 5 months pregnant with her third child.
I had my son, Matthew, in the back seat in his car seat, and we headed off towards the school. I pulled up alongside the curb, and I left the car running because the starter on the car was bad. And sometimes if you shut the car off, it wouldn't always start up again. And I thought that my son would be okay because he was in his car seat.
I was waiting for my mom to pick me up, and she came across the street and picked me up by the playground.
I grabbed her hand and we turned around, and my car was going down the street with my son in the front seat. My first reaction was just to go after it, to see if I could catch it, but it just seemed like the faster I ran, the faster the car was going. And I thought, oh, God, if there's a God, make my legs run faster. And I couldn't run any faster, and my son was crying for me. The further away the car got, the faster it was going, and it started heading towards houses. I thought, dear God, I know he's gonna die because it was going so fast and it was so out of control.
Mailman Alex Verdale had just begun his daily route.
I heard this crashing noise. I looked out on the street, and I seen this car popping out of this neighbor's yard, and I noticed that there was no one driving in it, and I could hear a kid screaming in the car. The boy was standing on the front seat. So there was that thought that if I'm not able to stop this car is going to hit whatever it's going to hit, being a car, being a house. This little kid's going to fly through that windshield. And something in my mind told me that I was the only one there that could do something.
The car was quickly approaching a busy intersection, less than 100 feet ahead. When Alex finally managed to bring the car to a stop, it was just 20 feet short of the intersection. But both he and Matthew were unharmed.
The mother came down. She was crying. I gave her the boy.
I held my son, and it felt so good because for a split second there, I thought I'd never be able to hold my baby again.
It was over. I picked up my mail, picked up my satchel, and started going back to work again. And I started thinking of what I just did, and I started getting scared. I started shivering, I started shaking. because it happened so quick that I didn't have time to be scared during this whole time. Okay, so I got scared after it happened.
5 years have passed. For Heidi and Gennaro Nunez and their children, that day is still a vivid memory.
I learned that there are people who aren't afraid to risk their own life to save another. And I've learned that you never, under no circumstances, ever leave your children unsupervised in a car.
Okay, we're chasing. We don't have wings.
Alex came and grabbed my to the handle, and he stopped the car, and he put the car in the park, and he took me to my mom. He's here because he saved my life.
When I see Alex and Matthew together, there is a bond between them. I feel it, Matthew feels it, and I hope Alex feels it.
With Realtor.com's home alerts, we found our new desert home really fast. And us cacti aren't exactly known for our speed.
Mainly because we don't have legs.
You work with what you have.
Realtor.com, to each their home.
There's no risk to call. 1-800-656-9658. Call Credit Associates now to start living better, debt-free. 1-800-656-9658.
This program contains true stories of rescues. All of the 911 calls you will hear are real. Whenever possible, the actual people involved have helped us reconstruct the events as they happened. We begin on November 20th, 1988 in Pacoima, California, as three high school friends set out to explore the nearby mountains.
Over a period of 1 year in the Angeles Crest Forest area, there have been 5 deaths. The whole mountain range is very dangerous. People want to climb and want to explore and to get in an area with loose shale that is very, very steep. And should they fall from the area, they'd go down hundreds of feet down to the bottom.
On November 20th, 1988, high school friends Melissa, Josh, and Eric set out to hike in the mountains above Pacoima, California.
It was like no big thing starting off. I mean, they're firm rocks, and it eventually started getting steeper, and it started getting kind of slidey.
We kept climbing up, and we were to the point where we had to struggle to get up further.
18-year-old Josh was in the lead.
Come on! You just gotta go a little higher.
Josh, you gotta slow down.
Josh! Good job!
I can't make it, Josh.
I knew I was in trouble when I looked over my shoulder and just seeing how high up I was. The track homes below us were like the size of a matchbook.
The steep shale cliff was crumbling under their feet, making it impossible to move safely. They were trapped.
When I saw that we couldn't get down or up the mountain, that's when I started to panic.
Josh, we can't go any further.
From a house down below, someone heard their cries for help and called 911.
There's about 3 people. If I send a lead company over to your place, they get this person from I think they get to them down below. Okay.
Units from the Los Angeles City Fire Department responded.
And we couldn't get back down because the rocks were all falling. And I was afraid we were going to slide and fall down.
The fire department was on the scene within 10 minutes, but the kids were too high up the unstable slope to be reached safely.
On the mountain. If you're okay, raise your one hand. There's help coming on the way. We really need a helicopter repelling team.
Rescue 911, Roger. We'll give you some repellents.
Nothing in the tank. Also, notify helicopter.
2 fire department rescue helicopters were then sent to the scene.
We have 3 parties shot at this time.
Firefighter Gary Ingham was the hoist operator.
A lot of times you think ahead of time, you try to figure out your strategy and how you're going to go about and do these things. And every one of them is different.
One chopper would try to pick the kids off the steep cliff, while the other, piloted by Sam Cooper, directed the dangerous rescue.
I'm flying what we call the command ship. It's an aircraft that's in control of the other aircraft, and you coordinate the events of the helicopters with the incident commander.
As we arrived on scene, we could see 2 victims together and one further up the hill in a more precarious position.
On the left side, the one that started to slide, huh? Yeah.
The 3 that were up there were in a situation that was very dangerous. If they fall from those elevations, they could kill themselves.
When we continue,
You could see them hanging by a large rock. I thought at that point there's a good possible chance that we might lose the kid.
Can you believe this? Doug Flutie and Frank Thomas. You guys look great. Once I turn 40, let me get boy.
Overall,
1907. The best part,
minutes to prepare.
We got horsepower on. Okay, I got horsepower. You have to lead under your seat so I can take it down with me. Okay, move into position. Okay, I'm going out on the skid now, okay? Okay, I'm out on the skids. Got horsepower? Horsepower. Okay. Okay, turn around. He's on the skids. Okay, he's going down. How's this ride? Okay, he's at the skids.
What we did is we lowered Ale Fluharty, and he had some rescue harnesses with him.
Okay, it looks good. Just hold the position right here. Okay, he's 10 feet from over the skids.
main job is to direct the pilot to position A.O. Fluharty exactly where I want him.
Okay, you're gonna have to move another 5 feet. 4, 3, 2, 1. That's good right there. Okay, it's on the ground.
Further up the hill, Josh was in serious trouble.
You could see him hanging by a large rock, and the rock started to give away. And at that point, I thought, oh man, it looks like we may lose this kid.
Star 1, just from Militech, we're ready to recover one of the victims. Just send an email up and then you go to team looking for the mail. Okay, he's hooking up, just hold it right there.
I have to tell the pilot where I want him to be positioned so that I've got that cable just about as perfectly vertical as we can have it.
Okay, the victim's coming up.
If I don't have it real vertical, it'll create a swinging motion, and it could hit him into the rocks.
Okay, the victim's off the ground. Go ahead, move to your left. Okay, victim's 20 feet from the skids. 10 feet from the skids. Victim's at the skids. Victim's coming up above the skids. What's she doing? She okay? Okay, we're disconnected right now. We're gonna put the hook down for the next step.
I try to lower that hook and get it to where it'll drop to the side or just in front of him, because I don't want the hook to touch him. Because of static electricity, they'll get a gnarly shock out of it.
That's good right there. Okay, taking up the slack. Okay, slack is up. Victim's off the ground. Okay, once you move to your left about 10 feet. That's good right there. Okay, victim's 20 feet from the skids. 10 feet from the skids. He's going down. Okay, 5 feet from the skids. Okay, the victim is at the skids, coming above the skids. Sam, let me know when you want me to. Okay, the victim is in the ship.
The first rescues went fairly routine. We hoisted them up, and the whole thing came up fine, no problem. And on the third rescue, I could see it was going to be a lot more difficult because of the terrain, the steepness of it. The kid was just hanging on there, ready to slide at a moment's notice.
Firefighter Chuck Fluharty stayed with Josh on the steep slope, while the chopper took Eric Beecham and Melissa Sullivan to safety.
Okay, lifting him up. Okay, move on to the left. Okay, move to your left. You're drifting to the right. Okay, he's touched down a little bit. I'm going to raise him up just a tad. Okay, now you go ahead and move in. Hey, you guide me because I can't really see it. Move forward about 20 feet. Okay, you need to go about 10 more feet forward.
And at this point, it's a very difficult operation because you've got the turbulence that's coming down, hitting the side of the cliff, and also affecting the ship. And all the debris was flying everywhere, and rocks are starting to fall down on this kid.
All right, it's a little bit too much. There, he's getting next to him. Hey, just hold your position right there.
The kid just lunged towards A.O. Fluharty, and their body began to twist a little bit. And at that point, it created what I call a human propeller.
Okay, they're starting to spin. Okay, can you go ahead and move out a little bit to the left?
At that point, there was nothing I could do but watch. We were helpless. If you were to lower them back down on the hillside, they're going to hit the hillside, probably injure themselves.
I thought at that point there's a good possible chance that we might lose the kid. So the only thing I could do was just keep that hoist coming up and just hope for the best. As we got near the top, then we could see that, boy, he was really, really spinning. Then the next thought is, how are we going to stop him?
5 feet from the skids. Okay, they're coming up. They're just about to the skids.
He's spinning very rapidly as he's coming up, and the skids are in the way that he's going to obviously hit as he comes up. So we had to brake him or stop him from spinning prior to going above the skids to bring him in the aircraft.
He wants you to try to stop with your foot. Yeah, I'm doing that.
It's a thing when you have to use mind over matter and just say, I have to save this kid.
After being stranded for nearly 2 hours on the cliff, Josh Wayne, the last of the 3 friends, was pulled to safety.
It was what I tell you, it was scary looking.
I don't think any of us are really heroes. I think we're well trained in the job that we do and are used to taking these risks. That's what we signed on to do, and we accepted.
I was grateful to him for saving my life, because I know he really put his life in danger for it. And I remember getting into the helicopter and telling him I was going to name my first kid after him.
I was really happy that the rescuers came, and I was kind of thinking it would be neat to be one of the rescuers going down and helping people, because I saw the joy that I had when they came down for me, and I would like to put that or give that feeling to other people.
I am happy to be here, happy to be alive and safe now. And my whole summarized word for this whole thing would be thank you to the fire department. It would just be like, thanks.
But that's just part of the job. We do this every day. This is fun stuff.
Next.
Dave was up on shore. It was then when I heard this crunching sound.
Do you have trouble hearing conversations? Are you constantly asking loved ones to repeat themselves? $2,000. Period.
Better than ever.
In a narrow canyon along the American River, Mike Astle and his cousin Dave Burgess were prospecting for gold, dreaming of striking it rich.
I was up on shore while I was down underneath the water. I heard this crunching sound. I was scrambling, trying to get out of the hole. And that's when I turned around and saw Dave underneath the water, pinned. I realized that he wasn't going to last very long underneath the rock without air. And I took the regulator out of my mouth and put it in his mouth, but the regulator didn't work. So I screamed for help.
Just down the river, 3 other prospectors were heading into town to fix a broken dredger when Hungarian immigrant Joe Sully heard Mike's cries.
I heard very, very quietly the yelling, and I yelled to my friends, "Hey, come on."
From the nearest campsite on the river, gold miner Bob Ellis rushed to help his neighbors.
The instinctive thing for me to do was to try to lift the rock. But it was very heavy, it wouldn't budge. It was a frightful situation. Dave, I thought he was dead.
The 1.5-ton boulder had pinned Dave just 3 inches below the surface of the water. He could see the air just above him, but could not reach it.
I saw Dave's face. He lost consciousness already. Chris, my friend from Poland, mouth by mouth, he pushed the first shock of air into Dave's body.
A professor of physical education visiting from Poland, Chris had special training in underwater mouth-to-mouth respiration. Seeing they were making no progress, another miner ran to find someone at the CB radio, who then drove to the top of the canyon to get a call for help out. The distress call was relayed to rescue units in the field. When Chris tired, Joe took over the cold and exhausting work of trying to breathe life into Dave. They alternated, unwilling to give up. One of the men remembered he had a large crowbar at his campsite and ran to get it. The minutes were passing, and none of the men knew how much longer they could keep going.
Running the dredge seemed to help the situation, remove some gravel. By the time the pry bar did arrive, we were able to position it to where we could get a leverage without causing injury.
In one moment I found the body is moving, but Hero dead.
After more than 10 minutes trapped underwater, Dave's limp body was pried out from under the boulder.
He had to be brought back to life. Chris knew how. Chris instructed me very shortly. You pump him out, and I'm going to do the heart massage. After the second push, he started to breathe, and that was the moment when Chris, in Polish, yelled, "Żyje, żyje," which means he's in life. Everybody's hand fell down, and we felt real good.
The nearest ambulance had been miles away by rough dirt roads at the time the call for help came in. Dave was coughing up blood from ruptured vessels in his lungs, but breathing shallowly on his own, as senior medic Joe Cross reached him.
When we arrived at the scene, Mr. Burgess was singing praises towards his rescuers. He was exhilarated to be alive, and he was praying quite a bit. The rescuers were timely. They appeared to have delivered the appropriate rescue measures, and I think that without those measures, Mr. Burgess would not be alive today.
The next thing I remember is thinking, wow, rivers in heaven. And that was my first thought, because I heard the water, and it was like I was dreaming almost.
It was a very frightening feeling to see the possibility of death and how fast it can happen.
There was kind of a unison there, the way people responded in this crisis, and I think that was one of the key factors in the success of the rescue. There was no one hero that day.
Dave is prospecting. He and his wife Lori live near Sacramento with the two sons he would never have seen without the aid of a half a dozen strangers on the banks of the American River.
And then it helped my husband have a caring heart, because not everybody would have come to the call for help. Some people would have just said, I don't want to get involved. And I really admire them for the strength and courage to go and help to save my husband's life.
It's just amazing that the right people were there at the right time. I consider my rescue a miracle.
If your credit card debt is out of control, if you're in over your head in monthly payments, there's a
975.
When you know what to do when disaster strikes. First responders break down real emergencies. It's the one show you can't afford to miss. Rescue 911. Next on True Crime Network.
Step out of the car, please.
First responders jump into action. Rescue 911. Next. This program contains true stories of rescues. All of the 911 calls you'll hear are real. Whenever possible, the actual people involved have helped us reconstruct the events as they happened. Survival in a life or death emergency is often determined by decisions people make who don't even know the victim. I'm William Shatner. Tonight, true stories of people around the world in unusual danger and extraordinary efforts to save them on Rescue 911. We begin on a cool and cloudy day at a small airport outside Portland, Oregon. Most of the footage in the story was taped as events unfolded on June 15th, 1991. Stunt pilot Jim Franklin is a legend in the world of air shows. For 8 months, he'd been rehearsing a difficult new stunt with windwalker Lee Oman. At the Rose Festival Air Show, 40,000 people would see it.
We know there's certain risk involved, and especially before a new stunt. We talk about what can go wrong and what are we going to do if it does. So I don't care who you are, how good you are, sooner or later, if it can happen, it will happen.
We're going to hark back to the barn sorting days of air show. Reynosa, New Mexico. At the controls of the Bungo, Jimmy Franklin from Apple, Idaho. Lee Oman.
Lee said to me, he says, Bill, he says, wait to see my new act.
Airplane mechanics Bill Amarata and Mike Warren were in the staging area.
I says, I wouldn't miss it for nothing. I said, I'll be right up there in the hill.
Basic speeds in excess of 180 miles an hour and forces of 6 times that of gravity. All we will do is routine to loops, rolls, or hammerheads.
He's one of the most incredible pilots I've ever seen. The guy just wears an airplane, he doesn't fly it.
The weather conditions weren't very good. We had rain squalls, a little bit of wind, and for Jim up there, I'm sure it was pretty bumpy.
As Lee Oman is making a move, where do you suppose Lee is going to go?
On the ground, pilot Michael Wiggins stopped working on his plane to watch Jim and Lee's new stunt.
There's not many air show acts that I run up front to see because I'm usually busy with my own airplane and my own act, but it's always exciting.
A good friend of Lee's, Bob LaFrance, had traveled more than 1,400 miles to see this show.
It was incredible. I mean, this is the first time I'd ever seen it, and I don't know that anybody's ever even done that before, hung below the airplane.
Now, if you were looking for a parachute, ain't got none.
We've done the act in worse conditions as far as rough air.
I was thinking that, boy, that's a lot of wind blast, because he was being directed backwards by the wind, and it was taking a lot of strength.
They hit this bump, and all of a sudden he was at the end of the cable.
Well, the invisible wires come into play, I guess.
I knew immediately it was not part of the act. And I also knew that Jimmy can't land that airplane with Lee hanging down below there without doing bodily harm to Lee.
When we continue.
My major concern was gas, because Jimmy had been up there for quite a while, and an airshow performer doesn't carry too much extra fuel.
With Script, you're never far from endless entertainment and knowledge, even when you're on the go. The Script app gives you access to millions of ebooks, audiobooks, podcasts.
Paid master. Just treats.
To be in the company of it.
At 80 miles an hour, the wind was... When Lee Ullman was bumped loose during an aerial stunt, he was left dangling below the plane from a slender cable. At 80 miles an hour, the wind was so strong, he could not pull himself up to safety, and the pilot could not land while he was hanging beneath the wheels.
I have a window in the belly of the airplane. You know, I can see, obviously, his arms, legs, everything's working okay. We don't do anything without an escape route or a back door, so to speak. The key to survival in this business. And if I didn't get it done soon, then he may become so exhausted that he can't help me to get him back up. The first thing we had planned on was a negative G push, where I would push the airplane over and create a negative G and cause him to float up to the belly of the airplane.
Where Lee came up to the airplane, there was no handles and he couldn't get a hold of anything, so he fell back down.
David Franklin making an adjustment up there, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm trying to be as gentle with him as I could, and this time I kicked the rudder on the airplane, got the tail swinging, which in turn got him to swinging back and forth, so that he'd actually come up to the side of the fuselage. Didn't make it.
My major concern was gas, because Jimmy had been up there for quite a while, and an airshow performer doesn't carry too much extra.
Wait on guard. Okay, we can get another steering here morning. You think that'll work? You only put Manley in the steering. Could we use a pickup possibly?
We've got our expert people attempting to come up with the right solution to this rescue problem.
Bud said that he had done a pickup truck to the airplane transfer before with Jim Franklin flying, so it was decided he was going to drive, and because I knew the harness and where everything was, that I would cut the harness.
As I said, the speed of the airplane and the pickup will have to be matched precisely.
It was kind of like doing a stunt that nobody's done before. Except we had no time to practice.
We had to get it done within the length of the runway because the truck obviously had to stop at the end. The serious what if is what if we cut the cable halfway through and Jimmy had to take him around again, and now we've only got half a cable.
Lee had already been buffeted for more than 15 minutes in wind chill temperatures below freezing.
He was really getting weak in there. You could tell by the way he was turning, and and twisting in the wind. So I was really worried that Lee wasn't going to be able to provide virtually any help at all in the rescue. I had a radio in my hand, so that naturally made me the shotgun guy in the other vehicle, and I was going to call height and speed and maybe direction if we needed it. I was just worried that we weren't going to be able to pull it off. Being able to match the speeds of the airplane and the vehicles on the runway, that's a very difficult thing to do. Jimmy Franklin came down in the walk-row, just virtually on the edge of a stall.
Bill Amaretta got a hold of Lee and just has this big bear hug on him, and so I leaned over and I grabbed Lee's shoulder. I said, "Lee, you okay?" He said, "Yeah, but I can't move."
I felt just real ecstatic. Like, hey, I'm here. I'm alive. Feel good.
Because of his safety cable and the skill and ingenuity of his friends, Lee Ullman escaped without any injuries.
Hanging there too long. Well, hey, boss. You all right? I was saying, well, you better do something quick. He's gonna run out of gas.
We call it dope on the road now, but we're incredible friends, and this incident has added something to it, and we're even closer now.
Was that a show or what?
Something else, man.
We went back to the drawing board and drew up some new safety devices, and they're in place now, and we're doing things now that make that hanging down the bar look simple.
In the air is where I feel most comfortable at. It's the best seat in the house. It's the greatest thing there is.
Next.
I could hear the baby crying in the back, and I was thinking if it was progressing into something worse, what am I going to have this small child do?
With mesothelioma, wire to your mom.
See.
On May 6, 1991, in Dearborn Heights, Michigan, Mary Jane Westenberg was home alone with her 3-week-old baby and her 5-year-old daughter, Stephanie.
My mom went to lay down, and she couldn't lay down because she couldn't breathe. I can't catch my breath. She switched to side, so she could breathe a little bit better. Then she said Stephanie, my mom was gonna be sick. My mom was getting worse, so she told me to call 911. I ran out here and unlocked the door and turned on the lights so they knew that this was the house.
At 11:37 p.m., 911 dispatcher Ken Sirotowski took the call.
Your 1-8 emergency.
My mom is doing
When she first started talking, I couldn't understand what the child was saying.
You said your mom was dead?
No, my mom is telling something.
Okay, she needs an ambulance over?
Yes.
Okay, are you calling me from...
It's pretty severe when a small child has to use the 911.
I'm gonna get the rescue squad going and then I'm gonna come back to you, so stay on the line, okay?
Okay.
So as soon as she told me that her mother was having the chest pains, I put her on hold and made sure that the ambulance was on the way.
Oh God, Mommy,
I could hear the baby crying in the back, and I was thinking if it was progressing into something worse, what am I going to have this small child do?
Is she still breathing and talking to you, or?
I was afraid a lot, so.
Okay, is there any other adult there with you besides your mother?
No.
Okay, just take it easy, we're gonna go help her. How old are you?
Only 1 month.
When I found out she was 5 years old, I automatically started thinking about my family and nieces or nephews that are around that age. And the only thing that I could try to do was just reassure her that help was on the way.
When you had the baby, Papa, 3 weeks ago.
She had a baby 3 weeks ago?
Yes.
When I found out she had the baby 3 weeks ago, I thought it was going to be related to the childbirth. So I typed the message on my computer and sent it back because I didn't want to put her on hold again.
So where did you learn how to use 911? Did you learn it in school?
Yes. But I never used it before, so.
That's okay, it's good that you use it because it's a lot faster for us.
I was asking her questions because I figured if she started talking about things she could relate to, it would take her mind off of what was really going on.
So what do you have, a little brother or a little sister?
I have a little sister.
A little sister? You're gonna have to help your mom take care of her now, you know that?
That boy seemed like a real nice man. He just talked to me a lot to make me talk better. Because I was crying.
Is that your first little sister, or do you have any other brothers or sisters?
First sister.
That's your first one?
Yeah.
I have 5.
I was really amazed she handled herself better than a lot of the adult callers that we have.
Here, okay?
They're here?
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll let them take care of it from here.
Okay,
Bye.
Within 4 minutes, Dearborn Heights Fire Rescue arrived, including EMT Bill Brown.
When we pulled up on the scene, we saw that the door was open, the lights were on, which was a big relief to us because, we didn't have to waste time trying to break the door down, or to gain entry somehow.
The ambulance came and I felt real good because I knew that they were going to take real good care of my mom. Because when I watch the TV show, it's always a happy end.
Among the rescuers who responded was EMT Dan Lamarand.
My first impression walking into the room that this is a life-threatening problem, and that gets our wheels turning on to how we're going to handle the situation.
The two things that really concerned me was her chest pain and her abdominal pain. in the back of my mind, I also thought that she possibly could have been hemorrhaging.
Stephanie?
Stephanie's grandmother, Barbara Keller, arrived 5 minutes after the rescue unit.
Mary was already on the stretcher in the hallway, and she was in very obvious distress.
And on the way out, we stopped to let Mom say goodbye to her kids because she was real concerned about it.
I hoped that it wouldn't be too serious. I hoped it would be something that could be taken care of. But I was prepared if it was the worst, that I would do the best I could for the children.
Okay, hon, just take some nice deep breaths there.
Mary Jane Westenberg was taken to Garden City Hospital, where tests revealed she had suffered a gallbladder attack.
I was worried that she was gonna die that single night, but she didn't die, so my hope came true, and that's mostly all.
Mary Jane underwent surgery to remove her gallbladder and has completely recovered. But if it weren't for her daughter Stephanie, things might have turned out differently.
It's a very scary thought, knowing that not only would you lose your kids, but that your kids would lose you at such a young age.
On June 10, 1991, the city of Dearborn Heights presented an award to 5-year-old Stephanie Westenberg for her heroism in helping to save her mom's life.
Out of the whole thing, Stephanie is the hero. She was smart enough to help and not just be helpless on the phone.
Ready? I learned if I ever have another problem, that I already know what to do for me and my whole family, which is called 911.
Stephanie is my left hand, my right arm. She helps with everything. Of course, I still look at her and she's still my little baby, but she'll always be known as my little hero.
Point your feet, muscle. Yes, slow it down. Finish.
We told her we knew that she was a dear little girl to us, and now everybody in the world knows it.
Now you're going to kick this one over the bar. Okay? Go. Kick. Push up. Right up. Push up, push up, push up.
I don't feel like a hero since I just feel like I saved my mom.
Point your feet. Yes.
Here's to the spatially challenged, to the sense of directionless, to the dingers and the denters. Good to Go is here to give you auto insurance when others won't. For as little as $20 down and low monthly payments, get the coverage you need and instant proof of insurance. When others say no, we say you're good to go. Visit goodtogo.com.
Attention Philips CPAP users. Have you or a family member used a Philips CPAP machine or ventilator for sleep apnea and later been diagnosed with cancer or had kidney or liver failure or sudden respiratory failure? Recalled machines to stop using them immediately.
if you like this video, smash the like button. This is gonna be like, that was the last like Rescue 911 vid, but I'm gonna start another live stream soon. Ooh, Amazon Live Shopping. Wonder what this app is. Oh, you gotta download it. Let's see what time it is. It's 7:56. 4 minutes to 8. gonna end this live stream now. Ugh. Okay, it's after 8. I'm gonna end this live stream now.